Hello, thank you so much for clicking on this video and taking the time to listen to a little piece of what's going on in our life. I feel very, very called to share while we're still kind of riding this energy. I just want to share what's alive right now. And I did record this before, but I didn't have my microphone and audio was horrible, and honestly, it was like an hour-long video, and I just was like, okay, no, we got to scrap that and start again. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet and just talk about the part that is present. We are pregnant with baby number 2, about almost 24 weeks, almost 6 months. Wow, what a journey it has been so far. It's been so different from my first pregnancy with Anaya, and so beautiful and magical in different ways. I have had some realizations and some wisdom that I wanted to share because I think it is so important for those who decide to bear children or are currently pregnant. This time around, I am being presented the opportunity to listen so much deeper because of everything that I've learned from my first pregnancy and from becoming a mother to Anaya. And this time around, I feel like I have so much more knowledge and so much more experience. And to be completely honest, I have been deeply, deeply, deeply humbled by motherhood, and I want to talk about that in a different video. But this humbling that has happened within me has opened me up. It has grown my capacity to listen and to be present and to acknowledge that I'm kind of a control freak and I like to have control. And in pregnancy and birth, you have an element of control, and you have your desires of how you think you want things to go, how you would like things to go. And in reality, we are so out of control, and what is meant for us is the truth of what will unravel. And so, a little bit of a story. We decided to have a midwife this time around. First time around, we did not have a midwife or a OBG or anything. We just did it completely wild and planned to free birth and all these things. But this time we wanted to do it differently, and we have a midwife. And it took me a really long time to scout and kind of interview and find the right person, the person that I would like to be present during our birth, and that is knowledgeable and that is holding that space and providing safety. And so I was already like 20 weeks, and this doula, I think you're required to have at least one ultrasound. I'm not sure if it's required or not, but the anatomy scan to check and see if everything is good and that you're basically, suitable to have a home birth, meaning your placenta is, away from the cervix and not blocking the cervix, or the baby has a spine and all these sorts of things. We planned our anatomy scan, and we decided we would do just the one ultrasound, and we had to schedule it right away once we committed to the midwife. And it happened to be on Valentine's Day that I scheduled it, and I did not even realize it. It was just one of the days that Anthony was going to be available too. It was later in the day. It was around 5:30, so we had a whole day ahead of us. And the night before, my dad was over, and he had asked me, he was like, can I come with and have the midwife tell me if it's a boy or a girl, and I won't tell anybody, I promise. And I was like, oh, absolutely not, Dad. Absolutely not. That's not the way we're doing things. Like, we're going to find out when, they're born, just like we did with Anaya. This is just what I want, and, so on and so forth. And he was like, okay. And I told Anthony about it later on when he got home, and he was like, well, why not? Why don't we find out the gender if, we're already doing the ultrasound? And I got so deeply triggered. I was like, oh, you're supposed to be on my side. Like, this is the way that we're doing things because this is the way that we did it with Anaya, and this is just, how I want it to be. And he was like, okay, babe, like, kind of brush it off, like, okay, whatever. Not a big deal to him. And I sat with it later that night, and I was like, wow, why was I so deeply triggered by that? That was really intense. I had such a big emotional response, and that was really intriguing to me, and I kind of just was like, went to bed thinking about why that had bothered me, and I came to the conclusion that I felt like I was just losing control, and I didn't like that feeling. And the next morning I woke up, and before my thoughts could even start up for the day, I grabbed my phone and texted Anthony, and my fingers just kind of like texted for me. It was not conscious at all, and I said, we will be finding out the gender today, or something along those lines, like, yeah, we're going to find out today. And that's when the thoughts kicked in, and that's when my consciousness came online, and I was like, no, like, what are you doing? Like, total defense mode, just like the day before. And I just thought, wow, that's interesting. And I couldn't deny the fact that I knew that we had to find out. Like, we had to. It was so obvious to me that these triggers were an invitation for me to lean in. And I realized that I was trying to control this pregnancy and this birth to go in the way that I desired it to be, almost like trying to relive the experience that I didn't have with Anaya. And I just thought, oh man, I am being asked to let go, to surrender, and to listen. And so I couldn't deny it. So, but once I accepted that, I was really excited to find out. And so the day goes on, we have a picnic at the park, and there's nobody at the park, which is unusual because it's always full. But it was Valentine's Day, so because people were busy. But a woman shows up, with her daughter, and I had seen her there before, and I had been kind of drawn to her, and we had spoken, a few words. But I'm drawn to many people all the time, and there was no real grounds for exploring that. And so, anyway, I guess she had recognized us because Anthony was there. And she was like, hey, you guys go to this yoga studio, you teach at this yoga studio. And we're like, yeah, we do. And I don't even know. I just blurted. I was like, are you the one that gave us so-and-so's name or so-and-so's contact? And the person I'm talking about is actually, he is a body worker, but he specializes in helping women process births that didn't go as planned. And we had done a lot of beautiful, deep, meaningful, profound work with him. And his wife is our holistic pediatrician. And I hadn't seen this woman since the day that she gave us the contact. I had no idea what she looked like. She had been this mysterious woman since that day. And it was such a deep confirmation and a synchronicity for us to see her the day that we're going to get the ultrasound, the day that I was having this huge kind of breakthrough and realizing I needed to release control. And I was like, wow, okay, I'm listening. And so we're kind of riding this wave already, and we start making our way there, and it was actually at a woman's house. She had a room set up, and she does it out of one of her spare bedrooms, and I thought that was so amazing. It was so cozy, and she had this beautiful bed with pillows, and we all lay down, and Anaya was nursing, and it was just perfect. It was just exactly what I would want it to be not in a hospital, not like a clinical setting, but just like cozy. And we started the ultrasound, and she asked me my birthday, and I told her, and she was like, no way. She's like, what year? And I told her the year, and she was like, we have the exact same birthday. We were born on the exact same day, same year. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what are the odds? What are the odds? So that brought some more fuel to that fire, and the momentum just kind of kept building. And she'd asked us, like, what if we thought it was a boy or girl, and we told her we knew it was a boy, and he had been communicating with us for a long time, and he gave us his name a while ago. And she went ahead and she confirmed. His legs were wide open. She was like, oh my goodness, like he's not hiding it at all. And it was just such a profound moment, just to confirm what you know already so deeply with this technology. And I didn't have that opportunity with Anaya until she was born, and we did know she was a girl too. We only had a girl name, and so, but this time it was different. We had our little celebration, and we pack up our stuff and we leave, and I call my sister, and I'm telling her, like, nobody knows they're about to find out that we're having a boy, because they think that we're waiting till birth. And so I call my sister, and she's like, having this big moment where she's really excited, and she asked me what day is my due date, and I don't love due dates. We can, again, talk about that in another video, but I think it is important to know, where you are. And so I told her, I was like, well, 40 weeks technically is this date, and but for some reason I keep looking at the calendar, and every time I see, this specific date, which I don't quite feel like I want to share, but every time I see this date, it's like flashing at me. And I see Anthony go into like this deep, deep thought next to me. And I get off the phone, and he's like, baby, like, guess whose birthday that is? And I was like, who? And he named somebody that is very special in his life, and has been like has played a really important role in who he's become. And he had made this date his code for his debit card. And he's like, but I don't know why. Like, he's like, they needed 6 numbers, and so I just, rhythmically I put 23 at the end. And I said 23, and he's like, yeah. And I was like, baby, that's the year. And we were just like, what is going on? We were blown away and excited. And now we're just like riding this wave. We're like at the peak, and lit up and in total bliss driving home. By the time I get home, we get settled, and I go to call my mom, and I look at the time, and it was the same date, but in time form on my phone. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're kidding me. You are kidding me. And at that point, I was just like, okay, I get it. Like, we get it. We are so deeply listening. And then I had a midwife's appointment, and I'm telling her this story, and she was like, no way. And I was like, what? She's like, that is my birthday. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, you are kidding. And she's like, no. And I was like, okay. If he's not born on this date is just very significant, or, it's going to be a significant date, or just maybe even just the numerology of those numbers, which I have looked up, and it has resonated very deeply. And I'm not attached to it, being that day. I don't expect it to be that day, but I just am taking it as such a deep confirmation. He is communicating with us, and he wants to come into the world in a different way. And he's guiding us in the way that he wants to come to the world. Like, all babies, all humans are so different. And the biggest lesson I'm learning right now is just, my opinion does matter, and what I want does matter, and I will, listen to that. And I'll also be listening deeply, deeply to what there's another person involved and I don't have control, and I can plan all that I want. However, this time around, I have released all expectations. All expectations. Because it is so unpredictable. Anything can happen. Before Anaya, I wouldn't have been able to say that at all. And I wouldn't have been able to be listening at such a deep level if it weren't for her. And if it weren't for what she has taught me. Oh yeah, there was another incident. My best friend's grandma, who was basically my grandma, she was in transition and passing, and she went over to see her in Austin, and they were, I guess, putting paperwork together, and she calls me, she tells me that her birthday is the exact date that we have been seeing. At this point, it's undeniable. It's undeniable. He really wants us to know that he's a boy, and this is his name, Atlas Rain, and that he, potentially could be coming on this day, and there's so many other things that are actually kind of being shuffled around, and he basically wants us to energetically cleanse and clear our space and our beings and just be so prepared, because he's coming to help rebuild from the foundation up. And Anaya was the one who knocked all those unstable beliefs and expectations down. She just burned them to the ground. And it's just so beautiful the way life unravels, and these magical beings have chosen us to be their parents. I feel like it's really important to share in this moment. These children that are coming, they want to be listened to, and they have their desires too. They want to be heard, they want to be seen, and they want to come into the world in a very specific way. Or maybe not, But that again is their own way. There is so much more. I wish I could just keep talking, but this video will get so long, so I'm gonna have to split them into different videos. So stay tuned, and thank you so much for being here and for just taking the time, because time is so precious. All right. Have a blessed day, and feel free to reach out to me with anything. If anything comes up, I would love to open a conversation about anything that I've talked about. So, yeah, blessings.